Imagine spending your entire life being told the sky is empty, that what you saw was a weather balloon, that what pilots reported was a sensor glitch, that what astronauts described on the moon was just cosmic radiation. For 80 years, that was the official answer. But on May 8, 2026, the United States government did something it has never done before in history. It opened the files, and what's inside them will make you question everything. Welcome back. Today we're breaking down the most significant government disclosure in modern history, the official release of over 162 classified UFO documents, videos, and photographs by the Pentagon. These aren't leaks. These aren't whistleblowers. This is the US government officially saying, here is what we have been hiding. Judge for yourself. Stay with me until the end, because what was found in the Apollo mission transcripts alone will change how you see the universe. Let's get into it. On May 8, 2026, the Pentagon launched a new government portal, hosted at war.gov UFO. No login, no clearance, no government approval needed. Anyone in the world can access it right now. The Trump administration released over 160 files, including dozens of photos, videos, and classified documents from the FBI, NASA, the Department of Defense, and the State Department. The program behind this release has an acronym PURSUE. It stands for the Presidential Unsealing and Reporting System for UAP Encounters. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said these files have long fueled justified speculation, and it was time the American people saw them for themselves. And Trump himself posted on Truth Social, and I'm quoting directly, "The people can decide for themselves. What the hell is going on?" Now that is not a sentence you expect from a sitting president about UFOs. But here's what makes this even more remarkable. The Pentagon confirmed no redactions were made to any files concerning the nature or existence of any encounter reported as a UAP. What you see is what they had. Let's talk about what's actually inside these files, starting with the military encounters. There are roughly 24 videos, running a total of 41 minutes, showing reported encounters around the world between 2020 and 2026. Most show infrared footage of white objects moving through the air, but it's not just moving objects on a screen. One report from Greece in 2023 describes an object making multiple 90-degree turns at approximately 80 miles per hour. Let that sink in. 90-degree turns at 80 miles per hour. No known aircraft can do that. No drone, no missile, nothing we have built. One pilot described seeing a triangular, metallic UAP flying at 25,000 feet over the Mediterranean Sea. Another video from Syria shows two semi-transparent, irregularly shaped orange objects, each appearing for just 2 seconds before vanishing. The U.S. Indo-Pacific Command submitted a 9-second infrared video showing an object near Japan, formally described by the Pentagon as resembling a football in shape, an oblate spheroid with tapered ends. It produces no aerodynamic lift under any known propulsion principle. The case is logged as unresolved. Unresolved. That's the word the U.S. military uses when they don't know what something is. And there are a lot of unresolved cases in these files. Documents also detail incidents in the Persian Gulf, the Strait of Hormuz, the Gulf of Aden, Iraq, Syria, and elsewhere, all reported by trained military professionals who have spent their careers in the sky. These are not civilians. These are not amateur stargazers. These are fighter pilots, military operators, and intelligence officers, and they could not explain what they saw. Now, this is the part that I personally find most extraordinary: the moon missions. Among the newly declassified files are incident reports from the Apollo 11, Apollo 12, and Apollo 17 moon missions. Let's go through them one by one. Apollo 11, 1969. In a debriefing after the flight, astronaut Buzz Aldrin reported seeing, and I quote, "little flashes inside the cabin, spaced a couple of minutes apart while trying to fall asleep." In another incident, Aldrin described seeing what appeared to be a fairly bright light source, which they tentatively described as a possible laser, in space. In 1969, coming from where exactly? Apollo 12, also 1969. Astronaut Alan Bean reported seeing flashes of light that were, in his words, sailing off into space. He told Mission Control, "It looks like some of those things are escaping the moon. They really haul out of here and just press off at the stars. Objects escaping the moon at speed." Apollo 17, 1972. 2 astronauts reported seeing very bright particles of light. Lunar Module pilot Harrison Schmitt said, and this is in the official transcript, "It's like the 4th of July out there." A released photograph from the Apollo 17 mission shows 3 lights visible above the lunar terrain, with a yellow box highlighting the area of interest. 3 lights above the moon's surface. In a photograph that was classified until last week. For over 50 years, NASA had these transcripts, these photographs, and the public was never told. Now let's go back to where it all began. Roswell, New Mexico, 1947. For decades, the government said it was a weather balloon. The media laughed at anyone who questioned that. But inside the newly released files is an FBI memo, written in 1947 by an agent in the Dallas field office to FBI headquarters in Washington. The agent recorded that a major in the U.S. Air Force had contacted the Dallas office to report that an object described as a flying disc had been recovered near Roswell, New Mexico. A flying disc. Recovered. Those are the words in the memo. Not a weather balloon. Not a sensor malfunction. A flying disc recovered by the U.S. Air Force. That memo existed. It was real. It was classified. And the government sat on it for 79 years. This isn't just an American story. The State Department's declassified files include diplomatic cables from U.S. embassies in Papua New Guinea, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Georgia, Mexico, and Tajikistan, all documenting UFO incidents in those countries. The dates range from 1985 to late 2025. One cable from the U.S. Embassy in Tajikistan in 1994 described the experience of a commercial air pilot and crew who reported seeing a strange object at 41,000 feet. 41,000 feet. Commercial altitude. A crew of professionals. And their government filed a classified report that you are only now allowed to read. This tells us something important. This phenomenon is not local. It is not regional. It has been observed across every continent, in every decade, by people from every background, and every single government kept it quiet. So why does this matter? Because it changes the fundamental question we've been asking. We used to ask, are we alone? The new question is, how long have we not been alone? Consider this. There are 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe. Our Milky Way alone contains 400 billion stars. Scientists estimate there are 300 million potentially habitable planets just in our galaxy. And for 80 years, we were told nothing is out there. The Fermi paradox, named after physicist Enrico Fermi, asks the most disturbing question in all of science. If intelligent life exists elsewhere in the universe, where is everybody? Given the size of the universe, the math says we should have encountered other civilizations by now. The probability is overwhelming. And yet, silence, or so we were told, because what these files suggest is that the silence was never real. The encounters were happening. The sightings were documented. The reports were filed, classified, and buried. The silence wasn't from space. It was from our own government. Here's what you need to know going forward. This was only the first release. More files are coming, posted every few weeks on a rolling basis as they are discovered and declassified. The government estimates tens of millions of records, many existing only on paper, spanning multiple decades, are still being reviewed. Tens of millions of records, we have only seen the beginning. And if this first batch, which the government considered safe to release, contains triangular aircraft, moon anomalies, a Roswell confirmation, and 41 minutes of unexplained military footage, what is still classified? What did they decide? We are not ready to see. Here is the truth. We live on a small rock, orbiting an average star, in an ordinary corner of an incomprehensibly large universe. For a long time, we told ourselves we were special. We were alone. We were the only ones. These files say otherwise. The government opened the door, just a crack, and through that crack, the light of a questioned humanity has asked since the beginning of time is finally shined through. Are we alone? The answer, it seems, was always no. If this video made you think, share it. Someone in your life needs to see this. Subscribe for more, because the next release of files could change everything. Stay curious, stay awake. The truth is already out there.